All right, live here tonight on Facebook and on YouTube. It's the American Sim Network FEGPC Monday night Big Money Truck Series. I'm Matt Egan, joined by the one and only Jacob Young. How you doing tonight, Jacob?
Fantastic. Cannot wait for some truck racing here at Autoclub Speedway. It's something that we don't necessarily get to see a lot, and so very interested to see how it will end up going with these trucks. I know these drivers are ready for it, and I know that I'm ready for it.
Well, we'll definitely be getting our fill of it tonight. 100 laps on tap here for these drivers. We saw that on Saturday night with the Cup cars. Now we get to see it with the trucks. It should be some good fun. Looking forward to it. Currently watching Robert Vermwald on his qualifying run. 5 minutes in qualifying. Where do you think we see this 10 truck place himself?
I think he can place himself for sure in this top 10, even the top 5. He's looking good so far, and, well, that top 10 is where you would want to be to qualify, basically.
Yeah, that is for sure. Some drivers already getting close to putting numbers up on the board. We'll see who the first one is. I got a feeling it might be this 10 truck. It was not. It was Correa. Peyton Howell third so far. Vermwald second. As we're seeing more drivers get numbers up there. But you notice Aaron Smith will go to the top. But notice that 10 is holding on to third place. We'll watch his second lap to see if he gains any ground. The potential, of course, is there. Aaron Smith, though, holding on to that pole position. Robert there on his second lap, down through 3 and 4, just goes under the apron ever so slightly. Now down to 5th on the speed charts. I got a feeling, though, he's on a faster lap right now.
Definitely. He really has that speed and has been looking fast, too. And, of course, he needs a faster lap to keep in contention with these drivers.
And he will, unfortunately, not post a faster lap. Brent Pryor, though, does and goes to the top of the speed charts. He'll go to first on the top times. Josh Bonwell coming out of pit lane. Bonwell looking for a good run here tonight. Didn't have a good one last night or Saturday for that matter. So there's a driver that's had a bit of bad luck. Watching the number 56 now. What do you think he's going to do on his run when he starts it in this time around?
I think as long as he hits his marks and makes sure that he can kind of save some stuff for his second lap, then I think he'll be fine and probably see himself in the top 10. Probably knock on the door of the 41.8s or something like that is probably where I can see him landing.
Yeah, we'll see what he does. Now, he was about a top 15 car last night. Trucks, of course, have a little less power, so you can kind of run them a little bit differently. We'll see what he does with this, and you can see going down into 3 and 4. Similar line to Vermwald, not so below the apron, though. Comes back up to the top, dives back down. I don't know if he'll get a chance to get a second lap in, but he got his first in, and that's the important one, and he'll call it after the first. He'll go for 4th. So how about that for Josh Bonwell? Looks like he's liking the trucks.
Exactly, Bonwell. Yeah, especially in this truck. Bonwell saw the lap time and decided, of course, to call it quit, and that was a perfect lap right there. Exactly what he needed to do to, start in a good position. Now, of course, he'll have to work on some strategy throughout this race, but for the most part, just stay in line, and he'll most likely be out of trouble.
Yeah, that is for sure. Brad Bothwell looks like he won't elect to take a lap. It looks like everyone, except for Matt Bean and Bothwell, have actually set laps. Bean coming out, but he's coming out way too late there. I mean, he's not going to get a chance. So 43 drivers will be the field, full field of trucks here tonight. And that's awesome to see. I love it when we get these big fields. So great to see yet another full field, not dropping off 3 weeks in. And we'll roll through your starting lineup. And, of course, David Santini starts on pole. Danny Rogers next to him. Tyler Pluff, Marty Porter, Josh Bonwell, Brent Pryor, Matthew Lee, Kenneth McCullough, Braden Johnson, Aaron Smith, Matthew Correa, Kevin Hamlin, Jeffrey Smith, Adam Baker, Scott Glazo, Robert Vormwald, Andrew Melvin, Jerry Glenn, Marcus Frukenot, excuse me, Chad Ross, Michael Thwatz, Hayes Booth, Derek Fulton, Jesse Thornock, Jay Dargent, Jim Westerfield, John Ballou, James Roth, Jay Felton, Jeffrey Radtake, Jose Medina, Peyton Howell, David Lindahl, Eli Warren, Paul Munrain, Jason Hunshell, Austin Goen, Toby Eckenberg, Chris Robertson, Richard Knott, Ray Jackson, Matt Bean, and Brad Bothwell will round out your 43 truck field. Well, 43 drivers start the race, Jacob. Do you expect to see 43 trucks finish the race?
Well, not necessarily, but I do hope so for sure. Because, of course, these drivers will be wanting to gain every single spot as possible. Every point will matter, especially come the chase. And so, big thing will be these drivers will be wanting to go 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide on the racetrack, maybe early or maybe later into the run. When that happens, it's just the nature of racing. Someone might bite the dust. So, of course, yes, I do expect a couple of trucks, maybe not necessarily to finish it, but for sure it will be interesting if every single driver ends up finishing the race as well.
Now, here's the other thing. Don't forget, we get full fields here, right, Jacob? We have more than full field trying to qualify. There's over 43 drivers. I don't know the exact number that tried to make the field here tonight, but it was more than 43 drivers that attempted to qualify for this race. We take the top 43, and those are the drivers that get to go on and race in the show that you're seeing right now, folks. So that's the interesting thing to remember. So if you notice some of the names maybe towards the back of the field that you notice, say, one driver in one week and maybe another one not in the next week and vice versa, it's not because the driver doesn't want to race. It might just because that driver didn't qualify in that week. And that can even happen for the front runners. Maybe not as likely to see David Santini miss a week, but it's still a possibility. It's a possibility on everyone's mind. There is no charter system, and there is no top driver in points system. It's all based on qualifying time in an initial qualifying session. Something these drivers have to be aware of, and something that makes it really interesting for us as spectators. Well, pace car down. Here we go. It is green flag from Autoclub Raceway.
Already you saw David Santini using every bit of width of the racetrack going on the apron on that start. Paid off big time as he's able to get a little bit of a gap between him and Danny Rogers. So exactly what he wanted off that start. And now, well, Danny Rogers is going to have to defend from Tyler Pluff early.
Yeah, that he is going to have to do. Look at Marty Porter back there, third place, trying to get to the back end of Danny Rogers. I saw Josh Bodwell look to the bottom. Now, one thing interesting as compared to our other series the other few nights this week, nobody is really trying to work other lanes. It has gone relatively single file. Of course, I say that. You go back to around 30th place. They are like a swarm of angry bees back here. But for the most part, towards the front of the field, they are single file. 3 wide here. Toby Eckenberg was in the middle. Now it is the 15 of Austin Goen caught in the middle. And you see Goen there in that 15 machine. on the outside of the 30 of who is in the 30, Matt Bean there. They are side by side for 33rd place. Jacob, what do you think of this race?
Well, it's very impressive. I've already seen a bit of bump drafting kind of through that midfield, but looking at the 30 car, he's right next to that 15. They've had an insane battle so far, and of course, well, like I anticipated, every position, especially closer to the back, is going to matter, so you're going to see a lot of harder racing, and both side by side. It's going to be interesting. Will these drivers decide to calm down and kind of save their tires, or will they play this game out where they're side by side? It looks like they'll stay side by side for a long time, and of course a lot of moves where they're kind of cutting off each other's noses, so watch out for that.
Yeah, back to the front of the field now. Danny Rogers, as you mentioned, having to hold off the 39, Tyler Pluff there. He has got a fast-looking Snap-on Tools machine. Looks down to the inside lane here. And is he going to make the pass? Tyler looking here. Will he get it? I think he just might. And they're side by side for the moment. But it did not last. David Santini, of course, holding on to the race lead. 5 laps into the race now. So, what do you think of Marty Porter? Pretty good challenger so far right now.
Exactly, he's up in second place, still, well, holding his own ground as well, which is always key to see. And, well, he's competing for this lead. Of course, he doesn't want to push it too much, as we do see just, well, he's not necessarily trying to go for a move too much, but he is staying up with the pace of the 9 car of David Santini. So, very impressive so far. If he can do this for a long run, just in case, and of course, for a lot more of the race, then, well, we can see a real battle where he might push David Santini up the racetrack for a race win.
Yeah, and right here you can see the 48 Adam Baker looking pretty quick down on the bottom lane. See Adam Baker looking to the inside of Matthew Correa right now. They are side by side. This is for 9th position. So 9th position here, pretty significant, though only a handful of laps into this race. You think they're racing a little too hard?
Oh, I mean, just looking around the field, it's kind of that same way. And, well, I would say yes, just due to the fact you want to save that right side. You want to save the right side tire, whether it's the right rear or right side, because of course later on in the run, just in case this does go into green flag pit stops, your truck won't be struggling in that long run. So of course, yes, they could be, but at that same time, well, they need to keep up this certain pace or else they'll get passed a lot, because just like I think the Cup Series, we'll see that sort of thing happen, where if you lose some momentum, then you're just going to go back, all the way back, basically to the pack.
And don't forget, if you're in the market for a new custom-built gaming PC, sponsor of tonight's race, FEG PC. Check out FEGPC.net. Not a bad choice for high-end gaming PCs. Jeff Scott makes pretty great computers. Jeff Ford. Rather, or Jeff Scott, I'm reading the name right, my bad. But yeah, makes pretty great high-end computers, so check him out. As they go down into turns 1 and 2, still watching that 48 machine work the corner. First caution flag of the evening. Where's it coming from? Let's try and find out. Oh boy, it looks like the 15 And it looks like Toby Eckenberg's involved. Chris Robertson might have gotten by, but Austin Grove's involved. And Jeffrey Radtake got a piece of it. So let's get an instant replay here. Austin going. Oh, he was collateral damage in that. That really started with the 7, Derek Fulton. So Fulton got tagged by the 12. And it was on from there, unfortunately. So that's caution flag number 1 of the evening. David Santini, your current race leader. As you can see, Santini leading the field around now. Marty Porter, Danny Rogers, Matthew Lee, Tyler Pluff, 5th. 10 laps into this race now. And we'll be right back here on the American Sim Network working our first caution of the evening. Well, 1 lap to green right here on the American Sim Network. I'll let Jacob Young get you with the green flag. Adam Baker inherits the race lead after that caution cycle. Everyone looks like they came down pit lane, so what do you expect to see on this restart?
The same thing that we saw on the start. A lot of great racing and close battles kind of back and forth here, and I think in the front of the field we'll see a lot of them end up single filing. Now the most important thing is that Adam Baker gets a fantastic getaway and will kind of be able to, well, just make David Santini have to single file right behind him. And of course Santini will have to get to that inside, so there'll be a lot of drivers trying to get into that one lane.
And right now should be an exciting restart. Green flag back in the air. Yeah, great start there. They are 3 wide already. Look at Marty Porter down to or Danny Rogers rather. I'm sorry, down to the inside there for the moment. He went 3 wide. He wanted to waste no time in gaining position back. Can't blame him there, can you now? Marty Porter looking to gain as many positions as possible and promptly doing so. So, right now, Jacob, what do you think of the racing here?
It has been really great. I mean, look at this. They're single filing up there, but the big thing is the 21 of Marty Porter couldn't necessarily get back in line, and so now is finally able to do so. But look at that battle for second place there. The 04 car, Matthew Lee, right on that inside. Will he be able to clear him? Looks like he'll be able to get the push from Marty Porter, but I don't think he'll be enough to clear him.
Yeah, and it looks like Porter's going to try and go to the bottom here. He doesn't want to work with Lee too long. He wants that spot more than he wants to work with Marty Lee, I think. We watch these guys battle for position on the racetrack here. And you look at Marty Porter there down on the inside lane here, getting by Danny Rogers, and he'll barely clear him off as he slides up in front. You want to talk about a tight squeeze? How about that? That was a bit of a tight squeeze right there, don't you think?
Exactly. What a move there. Of course, no caution, so no foul in my opinion, just racing as hard as they can and while making moves work perfectly. And it's such a great, well, this race so far has been amazing because of how close these drivers have been as side by side once again for second place.
Yes, Santini looking for position, and Santini, of course, you know, started on pole here tonight, so I'm not surprised that he's got a fast truck, but I don't know if he was trying to conserve it and fell back or just fell back by way of that pit stop, which is probably the more likely scenario, but either way, he's trying to move on back up. That's going to be the hard part, of course, is getting back up to where he wants to be. You watch a little bit further back, say a driver like Chad Ross back there in 18th place. He's got a lot of ground to gain, and this is a little bit different, again, than those Cup cars a few nights ago. These trucks, you really can't draft here. It doesn't make a big difference. So for a driver like Chad Ross, he's got a lot of work to do, wouldn't you say?
Exactly. Plenty of work to do for sure, but, I mean, we talked about it from last night as well. When we covered the Xfinity Series for Sim 500, it was kind of the exact same thing. We saw a lot of these drivers from back in the pack able to make their way up with about 85 laps. So now it's back to 100 laps. So these drivers that are well in 18th to 20th position, they still have plenty of time to really make up those positions and will gain ground. We saw drivers from 35th end up finishing in like 3rd or 5th. So that's exactly what I kind of expect from here. Plenty of time, and well, look at how hard they're racing. So they're wanting to move up in a hurry, which is a perfect example of what this league is all about.
Yeah, that is for sure. You look at John Ballou there in the 29, getting passed by, who's that, the 88 or the 98 of Jerry Glenn. So Jerry Glenn looking pretty fast, so pretty exciting racing as they go. They go down into turn 3 and 4. Now Blue looking a little bit quicker. His 88 machine looking fast. Now this is good racing back here. You see they're looking 3 wide as well. And they were looking for a moment. It looked like that Hooters machine. I think that's Jay Felton. Yes, it is. Felton looked for a moment, and look at Chad Ross trying to split the middle. Ross, Ross wants the spot. Chad Ross wanting the position, not able to get the position. Not yet, anyway. And you can see new leader, as mentioned in the chat, Matthew T. Lee. So, new leader, yes, indeed. Robert Hooks Jr. pointing that out, but second place, of course, Marty Porter, and look at Santini, Jacob, all over the back end of Porter. What do you think of that 9 car so far? That 9 truck, right?
Well, he's been very impressive. He's been in the lead, in second place, and now back in third place. So still in that top 3. It's almost exactly where I would want to be if I were him. As he goes in the inside, trying to pass Porter, not able to do so just for the time being. But yes, you talk about it, he's looked very fast. And, well, when strategy comes into play, he'll for sure be able to really gain back that lead. He just needs to remember not to burn his tires as the yellow flag flies.
Yep, caution flag back out in the air. And it looks pretty big. Paul Munrain involved. I think Jay Dargent, he got a piece of it as well. We're gonna go to our eye in the sky for this incident and see what happened here. As complete chaos seemed to unfold. Looks like that wreck actually starting perhaps with one of those Toyotas. Actually, that was a Chevy. That's Scott Glassone. Gaslow, and looks like, 29 got into the 5 and into the 82. Marcus there, and everyone piled up into him from there, so that's a pretty big incident. And we'll watch that one more time. You see the 5 truck got involved. I think Peyton Howell might have caught a piece of that. I don't think so, actually. I think Peyton might have been out of it before then, but Marcus got a piece of it there. That 82 got hard into it. Yeah, so big crash. Jim Westerfield getting through it. Brad Bothwell luckily get through it. David Lindahl. Jason Hunshell is, I believe, in it. And upon closer analysis, yep. So pretty big crash pretty early on. Drivers hitting the pits. And we'll see what they all do down pit lane. What do you think? 4 tires for all of them?
Definitely. Even this has been the longest run that they've ran so far. So 4 fresh Goodyear tires will be key. Of course, top it off with some Sunoco race fuel will be perfect. And, well, they'll be back out and away. So, yes, very important for you to get tires here, even though, of course, it's cooler temperatures and at night.
Well, Santini hits the pits. Question is, who's going to be first one out of pit lane? And you see them all
I talked about it
exited.
yesterday as well. Not having that first pit stall is going to be key, as look at that.
I don't know how he got out first, but he did. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he got nailed for speeding, but of course he didn't. He gets to hold on to the spot. That was really fast. Coming out of pit lane there. So, I tell you what, that was a great pit stop by the 04. Let's dial up Matt Lee and get his opinion. Matthew Lee, if you got a copy on us.
Yes, sir.
Well, probably one of the best pit stops I have seen in a long while. How'd you not get nailed for speeding, first off?
I was just watching my speed coming down, making sure that it was telling me I weren't speeding.
Yeah, you get out first ahead of David Santini. How's that car been running for you so far here tonight?
We're not bad. You know, track position's definitely key. I mean, it's definitely a lot better in clean air.
All right, well, where do you expect to finish?
Up front here in the top 5 would be nice, you know, stay out of trouble.
All right, well, anyone you want to mention? Sponsors, that kind of thing?
We just gotta thank Jeff for putting this on. Gotta thank you guys for, you know, broadcasting tonight's race. You know, you guys do awesome.
All right, well, thank you for talking to us, man. Good job on running so far.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right, so that was Matthew Lee there. Jacob, what do you think of his pit stop? What do you think he's going to be doing in the next run?
Well, his pit stop was fantastic. I think his next run will be a big part in this race. Of course, yes, it will be quick. Or we might see a caution flag quick, or it could be a very long run. But either way, he just needs to have a great restart is going to be key. And of course, just working with the 9 and 21 to see how they can kind of work together for today. And of course, just figure out if, well, he has the speed to end up winning it on the long run.
Well, we shall see what plays out, what is to transpire, as they will double up. David Santini second, Marty Porter, Tyler Pluff, Aaron Smith. Now, this top 5 stayed about consistent so far this entire night. Hasn't it now?
Exactly, this top 5 has really stayed consistent. They haven't necessarily tried to, well, make any moves that would, well, kind of wreck their cars. They know it's early in this race. There's still about 70% of this race to go here as we've just passed 25 laps. So, still a long ways to go, and they know that, well, there's plenty of time. So, they haven't really made any crazy moves, but of course, the people back there have shuffled a lot of positions. So, we'll see what happens on this restart.
And right now, it should be an exciting restart. I'll let you get the initial green. David Santini, of course, bringing us down with Matthew Lee.
Sounds good here as the pace car moments away from going down into the pit lane. The 04 of Matthew Lee will lead us to the green with Santini on his outside, so he'll have to get a better start than Santini if he wants to keep this lead. And Santini's been pretty good on this restart as the pace car is down and away. And we are back racing here at Autoclub Speedway.
Yeah, great restart here. So pretty good restart for these drivers. Look at the 39, Tyler trying to look his way through the field. Tyler kind of fell back in line. He peeked down the backstretch. Looked like I kind of saw him look down to the bottom, but then kind of decided against it. What do you think there?
Exactly, he decided against it, and well, it was kind of a smart move to not necessarily try and go for a lunge. And of course, to stay in line. It's still early in this race, and well, he made the correct move because guess what? The field is still very close together, so he can gain any time right after this restart.
Yeah, you see one part of the field that isn't too close together. You go back to right around, say, the 29, or actually probably more accurately the 95, Jeffrey Smith, then Kevin Hamlin. They split each other up by about, what, 5, maybe 10 truck lengths. So there's a pretty good gap there. It looks like Kevin Hamlin may have dropped out. He's having some connection issues, so Jesse Thornock would be the next truck in line after that. So coming onto lap 30 this time around. So pretty close racing as they run, and they are 3 wide again for the moment. Looks like Josh Bonwell, he is back there, starting to work his way through the front of the field, or to the front of the field anyway, it seems, in that number 56 machine. He's 19th place. And what do you think of the racing around there? It is pretty hectic. You see Robert Vermwell down on the bottom. He's got Michael Thwatch, Chris Robertson.
Exactly. It's been pretty interesting. You talk about, well, the draft doesn't necessarily work too much with these trucks, but they're sure trying to make it do exactly that. You talk about also having kind of 2 lanes working so far as back and forth, and now almost 3 wide, but they decide better of it. But look at that run that those 2 trucks are getting. I believe it's the 12. Excuse me, the 22 actually. No, it was the 12. Yeah, I was correct on that. But look at the run that they're able to get there.
And right now, side by side for position. And it looks like that 12 truck gonna edge out Bonwell. Now David Lindahl looking to size up the 56. Lindahl's carrying a lot of speed there. Doesn't carry enough though. Josh Bonwell a little bit quicker down the backstretch. I think it's because Bonwell's got trucks lined up behind him. He's got the 82 of Marcus, and then of course the 49 Jason Hunshow.
And that really helped him get in front of that group. Still fast. Well, still faster than those trucks behind him, which is going to be key. He needs those. He needs that help basically to catch up. Well, back to the 12 truck. Excuse me, Michael Thwaites, and of course getting to Robert Vermwell.
And trying to get to that 10 machine. This is 19th place right now, so Michael Thwaites is 20th. The key is getting to 19th. And that'll get him further and further into the top 20. 32 out of 100 laps in, so still a very, very long way to go here tonight. And you can see Robert Vermwell doing a great job holding on to the position. Matthew Lee, though, holding on to the race lead from David Santini. He thinks David's going to be able to get the spot.
I think Santini is very capable of getting any spot that he tries for. And, well, what David Santini needs to do, and I've said it multiple times, but it's true in my opinion at least, that, well, he just needs to wait it out. He doesn't necessarily need to try and go for any position at the moment, even if it's for the lead. He's still got space behind the 21. As long as the 21 of Marty Porter doesn't really get a run, he will still be in a fantastic place.
Yeah, that is for sure. Look at Adam Baker. We mentioned his name on and off here tonight. He's holding off Danny Rogers. Well, he was holding off Danny Rogers. Now Rogers looks to the inside, so he's having a pretty good run right now.
Rogers having a fantastic run so far. It's still plenty of time, so in a great position. And we talk about it. Well, you want to improve your position every chance you can get. So, really nice job by him.
And right now, 36 laps into the race at the line. Look at Andrew Melvin in that 37, looking pretty fast there. He's up on the bottom lane, or up on the top lane rather, of Aaron Smith. Trying to get by Aaron Smith. That's going to be a hard pass to make, but he did clear him. Good job. Smith's been pretty fast the last 2 weeks. He looked really good at Las Vegas. I thought he might have had a chance of winning that, but unfortunately not able to come to fruition. What do you think of his chances here tonight?
I think his chances are great. He's staying close to the top 10, which is perfect. And once again, strategy, in my opinion, will really come into play here. And that's really where he can especially make his ground. And so he sits in a perfect position. He just needs to keep pushing, running that same pace. And then, of course, when the pit stops, the green flag pit stops come, then, well, he can take advantage of that.
And side by side, Aaron Smith with Jerry Glenn. Glenn looking pretty fast right now as well. He's actually, where did he start? He just kind of come from the back to the front, started 18th place. So more so from the midfield to the front, but he's doing pretty good here.
Exactly, working really well. Kind of came from the midfield, Aaron Smith did, but sits himself in 8th position, still in that top 10, and with a great group of drivers kind of with him, stuck in the middle. He's got the 50 behind him, and also the, well, 37 of Melvin right in front of him, so he might go for a chance at a pass here soon.
Yeah, 39 in soon, so we're closing in on halfway. Battle for the lead. Looks like Santini looking for that outside line. Not quite able to get to him, not yet anyway, but he's right there. He's within striking distance for the lead, but now they're side by side proper as they go into 3 and 4. Matthew Lee trying to hold him off on that bottom lane, and he does. So the bottom lane, this kind of is, again, one groove racetrack, and the bottom lane appears to be the lane to be beat. Side by side for position still. And who do you think's going to win that one? Looks like Matthew Lee for the moment as he puts Santini firmly behind him, again, at least for the moment.
Exactly. I mean, Santini, once again, putting himself in a great position. He'll try for it once again. If I had to guess, he'll get this run off that corner and go on close to the apron, but not able to lead that lap as well, but has the inside line advantage heading into turns 1 and 2. Will he be able to clear him this time? He will. I said that, and then, of course, the Ford gets a run.
Yeah, and you see Matt Lee on that outside lane. He's getting a run all by himself, too, which is pretty impressive, as it looks like the 21, Marty Porter, really trying to help David Santini. And Matthew Lee trying to get a run all by himself, and he's holding strong. And, you know I said at the beginning, well, drafting doesn't matter too much in these trucks, and yeah, it doesn't, but still, it helps to have a partner, and Marty Porter has ditched his. Porter says, you know what, I want to lead now, and he's having a go at it.
Exactly. Porter, though, on the inside alone, so that's going to hurt him just a little bit, as, of course, once again, we talked about it, having a partner does help indeed. Now, of course, Santini taking that lead right back, and Marty Porter's going to have to fall in line into third position as the 04 hits the wall.
Yeah, he tagged that good with his right front, so he'll have to hope he doesn't damage the tire. Didn't damage the tire, I should say. I don't think he did. I think he'll be all right. But that'll be interesting to see right there. How that truck will cope with that. You think he's going to fall out of the top 5?
Don't think he'll fall out of the top 5, at least just yet. He's still got that pace, and look at him. He's got help from the 39 of Tyler Pluff. Pluff won't necessarily go for a move just yet here, as they are going to be able to avoid that lap car, or lap truck speed.
Right now, coming on to lap 44, look back here, Danny Rogers trying to get by that 4 truck. I believe that'll be a lap down truck of Ray Jackson. You notice a lot of drivers out of this race right now. There's about, what was that, 33, 4, 5, 6, 36 trucks left in the race. A lot of them knocked out in the crashes we've had. You see Peyton Howell, Toby Eckenberg still are on pit lane getting repairs. There's 33 trucks running. Jay Dargent, the last truck, running in 34th place. Kevin Hamlin out of the race, a lap, 2 laps ahead of him still. Kind of interesting there, but he'll get those spots in just a moment. Looks like they're cycling through pit stops right now. The 50 truck coming out of pit lane. When do you think we see our leaders hit the pits?
Interesting. I think that our leaders will most likely hit the pits probably in the next 10 or so laps. I know I've said that a lot, but I just believe that, of course, these tracks are a lot different, and as long as you haven't pushed it too much, you'd be able to survive 10 laps. Remember, the last time that they pitted was about 20 plus, close to 30 laps. Well, no, about 20 plus laps into this race. So it has been a while, but I think these tires can still go about 10 more laps.
And right there, you see Danny Rogers was side by side for a moment with Adam Baker, got the spot, and now trying to pull away. Baker looks to fight back, though. Baker down on the bottom, Rogers up on that middle lane. They are side by side for position as they run. Baker gets a good run into the corner. Rogers up on top. Baker will clear him. Barely clears him, but clears him nonetheless. This is the battle for 5th. Rogers looks to the inside, falls back in lane behind him. So what a battle we're seeing, and we're barely halfway into this race.
Exactly, a fantastic battle for sure. Look at that 37 of Andrew Melvin, also having an opportunity to try and pass Danny Rogers there, as the 48 car of Adam Baker sits himself in 5th position with a bit of a distance between the 1 car of Danny Rogers.
David Santini holding on to that race lead already, starting to pull away from Matthew Lee. That's to the tune of about half a second. So Santini's car, you remember now, he started on pole here. You take a look. So he's got a fast race truck. Now, do you think that's going to translate to overall speed over the next 50 laps? What do you think we're going to be looking at there?
I think it will translate into speed for sure. Yeah, under the next 50 laps, it all depends on how he decides to drive the truck. Talked about it a lot, but of course it's how great your truck will be at closer to the end of a long run. Because of course it's how much you've been able to save as well as push. If your times stay consistently fast, then it's going to be a perfect, well, just a perfect run from you. So of course that's what I expect.
Right here, Matthew Lee trying to close up. He's not able to, not so well anyway. Pretty close racing, though, nonetheless, as we continue to watch it unfold. Looks like Josh Ballou side by side with Hayes and Booth. Now, Booth's got a fast truck going on. Looks like Jeffrey Smith to their outside. What do you think of this racing going on right here?
Well, I think that race, these battles have been fantastic, and that just continues it up as I see the 1 truck coming into pit lane now as well. So pit stops have started for these race leaders.
Right now, as we continue to watch them battle it out for position side by side still. Pretty close racing. 3 wide up the middle goes the 12. Now that 12 machine, he is, I don't believe, on the lead lap. And no, Michael Thwatz is the first truck a lap down, or actually one of the second trucks a lap down, as they are cycling through green flag pit stops now. Looks like the 50 hits the pits. Jeffrey Smith. That 95 truck, I think that is Jeffrey Smith, yeah, hits the pits. So David Santini down pit lane, Matthew Lee. Massive group of trucks. Looks like half the field elects to pit all at the same time there. You think that's
Exactly
good or
what-
bad?
Well, it could be good for some drivers, but for sure, I think it would be bad. Because, of course, you don't want to necessarily undercut or overcut with other drivers behind you. You want to gain as many positions as possible, and I don't believe that a lot of these drivers will be able to do so, as a lot of these drivers also are out and away before the 95 is. He was one of the first ones into pit lane.
Right now, 51 laps in, everyone out and away. Matthew Lee managed a great pit stop. Great job there by Lee coming out first, still ahead of Santini now, and Santini, of course, had the lead on the pit cycle beginning, so pretty interesting to see there, Lee getting another fantastic pit stop.
Exactly. What Matthew Lee needed to do was get a fantastic pit stop, because now he's not necessarily lost a lot of positions. So he's in a fantastic spot for, well, the rest of this race once again for this green flag run, as he's still in first place.
And you can see Santini trying to form up with Porter, potentially. I don't know if they actually will work together, but they got about a full second gap to close. And that's going to be the question of, can they manage to close it? It'll be quite a bit of a distance.
Exactly. It will be a good distance for sure. But of course, they have to make sure, let's not necessarily battle too much. Let's go in single file and see if we can kind of gain some time this way. Because the more that they battle, the more distance they will have to gain almost on their own. So of course, you don't necessarily want to do that. You want to get to that front field, especially, well, we're past halfway now, so there's less and less time in this race. Still plenty of time, but it is running out.
Yeah, that is for sure. Time starting to run thin here as Lee holds on to the lead, but it is starting to close up. David Santini gaining about a tenth a lap. And I'm not surprised by that. Santini has just had a fast truck all night. I expect for him to definitely have a shot at the win here. What do you think?
Definitely will have a shot at the win here as well. It just needs to play his cards right. And because, well, we've talked about it. Matthew Lee, David Santini, and Marty Porter have been the top three that have really shined the most. So if anyone else can be that factor, it would probably be that group right there.
And you see Lee trying to pull away still, but it is no use. David Santini got that gap down to about 0.4 of a second there for a moment. Now back up to 0.5. But at any rate, the gap is closing by a significant margin. And yet Robert Hook's asking the same question I want the answer to as well. Matthew Lee coming out of the pit lane. This was a few laps ago at this point, but I mean, he flies out of that pit lane, Jacob. I don't know how he doesn't get nailed for speeding. He's playing those timing sectors. I mean, he's got to be playing them literally perfect.
Exactly. It's been just unreal to watch him go down pit lane and come out. I even watched 2 pit stops ago on that caution. I watched how he was able to basically get into the lead. And it's still impressive that, well, just like you said, he was playing it perfectly. And I think even if you were to go that same speed limit the whole time, you wouldn't be able to get first place. So he is doing something very special on those pit stops.
And right now, 57 laps in. You're closing in on 40 laps to go here. As a driver, what do you start to do?
Well, as a driver, I still think you run that same race. There's still plenty of time. Now, of course, if you're down in 10th or below, I would say you start to push a little bit harder to try and improve your position even more, to try and start to get up front to that top 5, top 3, where everyone is just less than a second away from each other, or even less than 5/10 from each other. So, of course, that's what I would kind of do if I were a driver, is just make sure, well, if I'm in that top 5, run my race. There's still plenty of time to even gain more positions to go and fight for against Matthew Lee. If you're from behind, well, you got to start to push just a little bit more now.
And that is for sure. Look at David Santini already back up on Lee, battling for the race lead.
Matthew Lee doing a smart job of really covering that inside line before they have to all go up top and kind of diamond the first turns 1 and 2. So very smart driving from Matthew Lee. We'll see if that pays off in the end, or will David Santini say enough is enough and kind of not allow Matthew Lee to continue to do that.
See Matthew Lee trying to hold on to that race lead desperately, I might add, trying to hold on to that race lead here. And it is very close racing for the race lead. Do you think Santini maybe pushes him out of the way?
It's possible that he could push him out of the way later, as he does dive on the inside. What I would have done there, instead of diving to the inside, was kind of fake going high and then decide to go low, even though that looks like it could work, as well as maybe the 21 getting another run on the 04. But look at that, David Santini right back into this race lead for the time being. Will it stick? It will for now, as now, of course, Matthew Lee will try and do the exact same thing.
Yeah, the key word there is try to do the exact same thing, as looks like he might actually have a little bit of rear end damage. I don't know if you noticed that, but that spoiler looks ever so slightly bent.
It could help him in the straightaways if it is bent down, of course.
And they're side by side. Matthew Lee gonna fall back to third, and yeah, there's ever so slightly amount of damage on that right quarter. Not much, though. So, what do you think of that there with David Santini, now your race leader? Aaron Smith in fourth. We'll go back to about 17th. Look at here, Kenneth McCulloch Jr. looking for the, actually 15th place on Robert Vormwald.
Let's see here, 15th position. Yeah, it's looking really good side by side here. As the 03, I think of McCulloch Jr. will be able to get that position. Yes, he will. He'll be able to slide up and we'll play that move perfectly. Once again, it's just you get a run on your opponent and you kind of have to pass as fast as possible. If not, you're going to lose ever so slightly, just a little bit of time. And so that time will be costly, especially with these drivers who are fighting for about a top 15 finish, who have a chance to even catch up to that top 10 group.
right there. Look at Vormwald falls back. McCulloch gets the spot. Looks like 28 drivers left on the lead lap. Jerry Glenn, your first driver off the lead lap. Michael Thwatz, Brent Pryor, Ray Jackson, and Jay Dargent among the 33 drivers. 34 actually left running. Toby Eckenberg is truck 34. He, of course, is unfortunately 39 laps down. So it's going to be a little bit of a hard play for him to get back to the front of the field. Or even gain any positions. At best, he'll get to 34th place. He's currently scored 35th on the speed charts.
It's one of those days for Toby Eckenberg, getting caught up in an early incident and having a ton of damage. So yes, possible to get to 34th position, but it will be very difficult, as already that's about a 4-lap, close to a 4 to 5 lap gap basically from him and Kevin Hamlin.
Yeah, right there. Look at Hayes Booth holding off the 12. Again, that 12 truck not on the lead lap, and actually looks a little bit quicker than Hayes, so pretty exciting to see right there. Interesting to see the lap truck always going faster, and always annoying for that lap truck, because you figure they're probably thinking, man, if only I was on the lead lap, that would have been the spot I just gained.
Exactly. It's very difficult when you're a lap down and you knew that you had pace to even run with these leaders. That, of course, it's just, yeah, what could have been, basically. Just like you said. What if that was the spot that I gained instead of being down one lap or multiple laps down? So very difficult. He wants some luck, maybe 3 more cautions without him being involved to get back to that lead lap and have an opportunity to actually fight with the race leader. So yes, of course, he must be feeling a little bit of frustration in that driver's seat for sure.
Side by side here, the 08, Braden Johnson and Hayes Booth. This is going to be for 12th, and Hayes holds on to the spot. A little bit further back, see a battle for 23rd. Looks like Chris Robertson holds on to that spot. So pretty good run there for Robertson. So if you're, say, a driver, let's use Richard Knott, for example, in 20th place, what's your strategy for the next 33 laps? There's not a lot of racing left here.
Not a lot of racing left indeed, yeah. Just, well, he'll have to push, he'll have to try his hardest basically to get up front, or just to get in any good position for sure. So just needing to fight, and maybe getting a caution will help him out indeed. So basically, with time not on your side, just need to focus on what's in front of you.
And right now, back to the battle for the lead. Matthew Lee has fallen off by, again, about half a second. So Santini got a pretty good lead at the moment. What do you think David Santini's gonna do with that? Because you figure if they're gonna have one more pit stop, he's gonna lose that lead, just based on how Lee's been pitting recently.
Oh, it's shown. You saw how Matthew Lee was able to get the lead, but of course, David Santini was able to push his truck to the limit and get that lead right back. So it looks like at the moment Santini has the long run truck, and Matthew Lee kind of has more short runs than anything. So that will be a big key to see what will end up happening. Of course, whoever pits later, I think, from the leaders on time will be maybe the race winner.
Yeah, that is possible. 71 laps in, 30 laps to go. naturally we'll see one more pit stop. When do you think it'll be?
30 laps to go. I probably, like I said, these drivers will want to pit with as little time as possible. So maybe with 20 or less than that laps to go. Around that, I do expect drivers to really start coming down pit lane. Well, kind of even earlier than 20 to go for drivers to start to come down pit lane. But for these leaders, probably with 20 or less laps to go.
Well, we'll see just how it plays out here. I don't want to say limited laps to go, is 30 laps, especially to track this big, still is a lot of racing to go. But that being said, there is not too much time left. And that also being said, who's your pick to win this race?
I would have to go with Marty Porter. I think he's sitting in a perfect position, third place. He has led a couple of laps, if I'm not mistaken, but hasn't been the most dominant truck. But you take a look at how Santini and Lee have been battling it out sometimes. Marty Porter, he can probably help one of these two drivers go to the lead and then have a battle of his own. He just hasn't had that much clean air. So if he gets that clean air or that battle, I think he'll be able to take it.
Yeah, that is for sure. And you can see everyone on track here. And we're going through the field for the most part, pretty much spread out. As the tires wear out, the trucks slow down and they get spread. Aaron Smith looks like he might actually be losing ground, but that is to a lap truck. And you see Aaron Smith there falls back to 5th place. Marty Porter, 3rd position. Tyler Pluff, like I said, this top 10, top 5, however you want to cut the difference, they really haven't been swapping positions much tonight. We haven't seen a lot of passing. And I think that's kind of interesting. Because even last night, we saw a decent bit of passing. I feel like that's been, I don't want to say a problem with these trucks, but there definitely has not been passing with these trucks here tonight.
Sure, it's been very difficult for them to pass, but also it's been incredible to see these battles going on. That outside line working a treat for a couple of other drivers too, which has been good to see some battling like that. But that inside line has been the dominant factor of where you would need to be, especially in turns 3 and 4.
And right now, watching Aaron Smith, what do you think, say, Aaron Smith would have to do to have a shot at this race as he heads down pit lane?
Well, Aaron Smith, I think.
Looks like I don't mean to cut you off, but it looks like we've had an incident. I saw a bunch of trucks smoking, a bunch of smoke, but that might have just been tire lockup smoke.
Yes, exactly. A lot of trucks are going into pit lane. And so they're trying their entrances as best as possible. As I saw, a big thing was a 9 truck coming down, of Davis Santini coming down. But of course, Matthew Lee was almost right behind him. So that's going to be interesting to see who comes out of pit lane first from that battle, as both of them still down pit lane. Who's going to come out of their stall first? It looks like it's going to be Matthew Lee, just like that, and it's going to be a drag race out of pit lane.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. We'll watch this. Let's watch it one more time. I don't know how. I mean, he's got so much more speed. I know Santini might have like wiggled it there coming out a little bit, but I really don't know how he's got so much more speed coming out of pit lane there. That's something impressive, you know?
really is. What I can notice is that it doesn't seem like there's tire smoke that comes out of Matthew Lee's pit stall basically when he leaves. It's almost like he's not spinning his tires, which is very impressive.
Yeah, that's interesting there too. Well, yeah, so another great pit stop. That puts him in the race lead once again.
Like I said before, Santini has had that long run.
We'll try and see if it tells us just how quick his pit stop takes, and no, unfortunately, does not. But I'd argue that's got to be the fastest stop of the night. I don't think anyone's pitting quicker than he is. What do you think?
I really think he would be correct there. He's just, yeah, stopping perfectly in his pit stall, like as center as can be, and just, I don't know, basically making things work. It could also be for a couple of seconds less, because he could be putting the fuel load down to about 13.5 too. That could save him maybe a second or two. Of course, 4 fresh Goodyear tires, but maybe cutting the fuel load in half or something like that.
Yeah, right now, 80 laps in, so we're about 21 laps to go. Matthew Lee, your leader. Now, we know Santini closes up to him, and we know he can pass him. When do you think we can see that happen, though?
Well, Santini, as they do cross the start-finish straight here, I'm expecting it not to be that long, basically. I think that the 04 truck has enough speed, but the only difference will be that he's very close. It's less than a second still, and if we hit back to the last stint, basically, it took them about 10 laps. So around that time is when we'll really see the 9 truck have an opportunity.
81 laps in next time, or right here, so 20 laps to go. I think you hit the nail on the head. We'll see it with about, 10 laps to go is when you'll probably see the pass. Jerry Glenn down pit lane. Aaron Smith up to 4th. Battle for 3rd, though. This might be, well, actually, I say that, but the 39's a lap down. That, of course, Tyler Clough there. That is the first time I think we've seen him out of the top 10 here tonight.
Definitely agree. He's just had some bad luck tonight here front in damage. But other than that, he had a fantastic race truck is what it seemed until that point where he got that damage. So just a little bit of bad luck, but other than that, can expect him to keep trucking along.
So right now, 18 to go at the stripe. It looks like Santini closing that gap. We'll keep an eye on this battle. Do you think Santini wins this race? That's going to be the big question.
I think Santini will most likely win this race if it had to be between them two. I still think that Adam Baker is, yes, he needs to close up that gap. But if he were to get some help, he could be in that factor for sure. But both of those drivers, if it does come down to it, Matthew Lee and David Santini battling it out, I think Santini takes it. He's just had that extra speed kind of on that inside line, and he's really been able to hook that truck on the inside. And we've seen how much pace he's been able to have with just his truck and no help around it.
See 17 laps to go right here at the start-finish line. And they are closing in. Chad Ross looking fairly quick as well, as does Andrew Melvin. John Ballou up to 8th. Good run for that 88/29 team. I want to point that out. As you look at him, he started 27th place here tonight. So he started from the back, got his way up to the front. Great run here tonight. Absolutely fantastic run for him.
Indeed. I mean, that's what you want. You want that momentum for, of course, the next week. And just it will also, in my opinion, help him have that boost to qualify get into the race before he has to qualify once again. We'll race at Phoenix, and trucks at Phoenix doesn't get any better than that as well for next week. And so that confidence booster will help him at that short track for sure.
Right there, 0.2 of a second. That's the difference with 15 laps to go for the race lead.
If you're David Santini, you cannot overdrive this race truck here. You have to stay focused and make sure that you do everything in your power just to, intimidate the 04 of Matthew Lee. I know I used that word last night, but it's so true. You keep on pushing, and, guess what? Matthew Lee's going to see him in his rear view mirror, so he knows he's there. If he makes a mistake, guess what? That first place is going to be gone in no time. So that's exactly what David Santini needs to do, is just stay on his rear bumper and make sure that, Matthew Lee makes a mistake.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail right on the head there, and you hit the nail on the head earlier. It is 14 laps to go, a little bit more than 10. You said 10 to go when you think the pass happened, but it might take another 3 laps to set it up,
Exactly. He's got plenty of time. He just needs to focus and set it up perfectly. He's still in second place, but there's still plenty of time for, guess what, Matthew Lee to come back at him just in case he does pass him a little too early.
And Lee holding on to the race lead. 12 laps to go. Next time by, this is where things really start to get intense. So this is where things get incredibly exciting. Do you think Santini really goes for it? Do you think he kind of sets up the pass meticulously? We got some great racing a little bit further back. I didn't quite catch who it was with. I think that's the 39 still going at it. Of course, the unfortunate factor is the 39 and Louis Racing, they're not on the lead lap. But that's still exciting nonetheless to watch, as you see Lee coming up on lap traffic with David Santini.
Exactly. Fantastic racing all around. It is a shame that Tyler Pluff is a lap down where that battle was going on. But yes, they are slowly but surely, the leaders are slowly but surely getting onto lap traffic. We saw it a couple of times, and now I think he's going to go for the move on that inside line. Not close enough, though.
He looked for it. Didn't quite happen yet. That's the key. So David Santini looking for position. Adam Baker looking to maintain third, and that's going to be harder than you think. He's got a lap car in between him and Aaron Smith, mind you, but only one lap car. That might be making this a little bit more difficult than you would assume. Everyone else, meanwhile, Kenneth McCullough Jr. just outside the top 10. Braden Johnson in the top 10. Hayes Booth battling with David Lindahl. This is for 13. Lindahl gets the spot. Good pass by David. So David Lindahl got a fair bit of speed here. Do you think he'll be able to go for 12th?
I think Lindahl will be able to go for 12. Yes, Robert Grunwald, though, has been very impressive in just, well, 12th and trying to get into that top 10. He's really stayed consistent with his position there, and so I think it's going to be very difficult, but I think Lindahl can do it.
And David Santini all over the back of Matthew Lee now with 8 laps to go. Not a lot of racing left for this battle to take place. And looks like Santini trying to use a lap car as a pick. That puts him side by side here. This could have been exactly what Santini needed. And yeah, how about that? Talk about a brilliant strategy using that lap down truck. That was the 22 machine of Jose Medina. Actually, the first truck a lap down. So brilliant strategy there by Santini. Matthew Lee trying to counter back. And Lee to the inside. Lee 7 more times around. Does he get the lead back? Santini almost tags the wall, but he keeps it clear.
But a move there as Matthew Lee takes that lead right back. But, I mean, that was fair game from Santini. Santini did exactly what he needed to do. Kind of pinned Matthew Lee up on that outside line behind the lap truck. But the only difference, of course, was, well, who saw right there that Matthew Lee still had that pace to get right around him. He kind of used that slipstream, and it worked out to his favor. So we'll see if Lee can keep this lead once again.
Yeah, and that is going to be the big question. He's got it by about half a second there, and with 6 laps to go, that half a second, as you mentioned, it might just be enough to make that win. That might have been the perfect move for him. And you can see here, David Santini not gaining the ground as quickly as he probably needs to be, because right now if he gains a 10th a lap, he'll only catch him with 1 lap to go. That won't be enough. He needs to have a big burst of speed, and do you think he's going to get it? I'm going to be honest and say no.
I think he's just a little too far out at the moment, and it would take a big miracle for him to really get that burst of speed. But as we said that, it looks like he kind of closed it up.
Yeah, I was about to say, we say that and you don't think he's going to get it, but he got a pretty good shot of it. He gained 2 tenths right there in 1 lap. Maybe Matthew Lee burned out the tires there. That might have happened. Down to 2 tenths of a second now. This is where things get close.
He's very close to his bumper, almost half a truck length there for a second. And, well, we'll see if he pulls another move like that again, as it's just about to be 3 to go now.
Right there, 2 tenths of a second with 3 laps to go. They're running a very similar line. Where do you think Santini's getting that burst of speed?
Well, I think he's kind of running the perfect line there. I think he saved up his tires enough for him to do exactly what he's doing. and that is kind of running that middle to low line. He's really having that opportunity to get that truck rotated enough to just get it off the corner perfectly onto that back stretch, or onto that front stretch, I mean.
And right there, 2 more laps to go.
As well as this, look who's behind David Santini.
Yeah,
It
that
is, I believe,
Adam
21
Baker.
and Marty Porter.
Oh, no, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, Marty Baker not on the lead lap, though. He had a bad pit stop. But
So
he
that's
could make
also
himself a factor.
exactly, and that's where he's also getting that speed. If I had to guess, David Santini just having a little bit of help with that draft, as well as, of course, the 04 truck of Matthew Lee. Yes, he does have clean air, but he doesn't have that help of maybe a little bit of a draft.
And right now, final lap of the race. Matthew Lee, does he have it on David Santini? He's got it to the tune of about 0.2 of a second.
Tackle was made by the lap truck, and that's going to be enough.
And Lee's going to crash as well. David Santini wins the race. So that happened. We'll get an instant replay on that.
Talk about a lap truck making a difference in 2 of these races. Or, I mean, 2 of the times that Santini was able to pass.
Yeah, the lap truck made contact with... I gotta get another replay at that. I still don't quite know what happened there. Oh,
Yeah,
the lap truck...
Lee.
Did he run out of fuel? Whatever happened, Matthew Lee hit him. Yeah. So Santini won the race. Adam Baker, Aaron Smith, Andrew Melvin, Felton, Johnson, McCullough. Great run for Kenneth McCullough. Top 10, by the way. I think that's his, first one of the season?
Think so as well.
John Ballou, David Lindahl, Robert Vermwald, Jeffrey Smith, Westerfield, Bothwell, Thornock, Roth, Booth, Porter, Mendina, Pluff. Looks like everyone's out of gas, by the way. I just want to mention that. They're all being pushed. Not Chad Ross, Glenn, Thwatz, Robertson, Hunshell, Pryor, Rogers, Fruchinot, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, Goen, Bonwell, Jackson, Dargent, Eckenberg, Howell, Correa, Hamlin, Glazo, Bean, Mulrain, Fulton, Warren, and Radtake. So my best guess as to why Matthew Lee plowed into the back end of that lap truck, I believe that was the 31, would be, I think he ran out of gas, the 31 truck, because you look at everyone here that's still on the racetrack, they're getting pushed. David Santini's out of gas. He's not going to be able to do a burnout.
Plus he gets down pit lane as fast as possible, and they do service on his race truck. I've seen that happen before.
So this is an interesting turn of events. I'll let you interview our race winner. That, of course, is David Santini. Take it away.
All right, David Santini. How you doing?
David, you have a copy on us?
Yep, there we go.
There we are. Take it away, Jacob.
All right, so how you doing tonight after this crazy eventful race?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. It was a good race.
It was a fantastic race from our perspective as well. Just take us through those final few laps in your battle with, of course, Matthew Lee. There, of course, a lap truck playing a factor twice.
Yeah, so that last run, Matt was beating me into the pits, on the pit stops every time and beat me out. So I saw you had a little bit of damage there on rear spoiler there. So it seemed the past 2 previous runs I could end up getting him by the end of the run. So I was kind of hoping for that, and I was pushing pretty hard on that last run. And then I ended up getting to him with like maybe 10 to go or so, and it didn't work out. And then I really burned it up by that point. So I was kind of just really hoping he was going to hit the wall or something so I could get a pass. I really wasn't hoping that lap traffic would get in the way like that. But a win's a win, I guess, huh?
Exactly. How's that truck handling for you throughout the race?
Yeah, these fixed setups tend to be super tight, and they just keep getting tighter as the run goes on, and I don't really like when they're tight like that, but it wasn't too bad. So, I mean, like I said, I'll take it for what it is.
All right. Well, I guess any sponsors you'd like to thank, or anyone that you like to, thank sponsors that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully everybody over at OSN is watching right now, and I think Bacon Hawk should be. So I don't know if the other guys are with Grippa and Mitt and all them. So hopefully somebody's watching.
All right. Well, congratulations on the race victory. Hopefully that momentum can take into account in Phoenix, and hopefully we'll be talking to you then.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, next up on the interview block, I'll talk to second place finisher, who I imagine probably isn't too happy. That's Matt Lee. How you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm here.
I mean, so I'd say walk us through that final lap, but I mean, what happened?
I was coming through 3 and 4. You know, it was clean, and the 31 ran out of fuel, never called it out, and stayed in the middle of the track. Like, he started to go low in front of me, and I thought I had the high side, and then last second he come up, and just I had nowhere to go.
Now, are you at least happy that you still managed second place? You didn't get pushed further back. What's the emotion there?
I mean, absolutely. A second place run here tonight. It's a great finish, great points tonight. You know, overall, you know, it's a great night. It just, you know, leaves a sour taste in your mouth after running so strong and having such a great race. You know that it gets taken away from you that way, but you know, it is what it is. We'll go on to the next week.
Well, any sponsors you want to mention here before we let you go?
Yeah, we gotta thank FEG PCs. Jeff does a great job over there. Gotta thank you guys again. I mean, great job with the broadcast. Always fun.
Now, one last question for you, and this one's really important. Since the race is over, just how were you so fast on pit lane? Again, was it just timing the sectors right? Coming out of pit lane, not going in.
I think the biggest difference between me and David is where David was right on top of that end line. Like, I was able to see when I was coming to it and was able to gas the car up and really get out of the exit of pit road a lot faster than he was. On the green flag stops, I made up a lot of time on him right there. And going down pit road, I mean, I was just right on the limit of speeding and not speeding, you know.
Yeah, you have everyone in the chat, both on YouTube and Facebook, wondering just how you managed it. But great job not getting nailed for speeding. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right, last up on the interview block, Jacob Young with Adam Baker.
All right, Adam Baker, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic after this race. So, well, top 3 finish, of course, not necessarily where you would want to be, but it is a great, top 5 finish for you. So, how do you feel about that?
I'm pretty happy with it, honestly. I didn't qualify so well and wasn't so fast on the short run, but the long run was where I felt like I was starting to close back up on everyone, and to come out of that pit cycle and be able to hang on to third, I will take it.
All right, how's that truck handling for you?
It was a lot tighter than I tend to like at that track. I was trying to work, clipping the apron through 3 and 4, get the back end to try and rotate a bit more, and tried a few different things with 2 tires throughout the race. And ultimately, it's just still a little bit too tight for what I'd like, but fast enough to get us to a top 3. So we will take it.
Awesome. And of course, well, that third position here at Autoclub Speedway, how will you be able to take that momentum into Phoenix?
Well, really the first 3 races have been great for me. This race, just to come out of here with another top 3, that's all 3 weeks so far. It's huge to start the season, and Phoenix is a pretty solid track for me. So I'm pretty excited to go out there.
Awesome. Anyone that you'd like to thank, sponsors, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys up there in the booth for putting on the broadcasts here. I'd like to thank FEG PC for putting on this series, and Jeff for doing all that he does for the iRacing community. I want to thank my sponsors, BZ Design, and my team, V-Speed.
Awesome. Well, congrats on the third position. Hopefully we'll be talking to you next week, this time in Victory Lane.
All right, thank you.
All right, folks, and from all of us at the American Sim Network, we hope you enjoyed tonight's race. We'll catch y'all in the next one. See you then.